Hey, everybody, I'm David Bloom with Next TMT. I'm here with Eric Carson, President of the Americas and Managing Director of the Americas in Europe. Here at IBC, Eric is a big honcho with Mediagenics, one of the more interesting companies out there. We're talking a little bit about what they're looking for and trying to make a splash here at IBC, this vast exhibition hall. So, Eric, talk a little bit real quickly, if you would, about the kinds of things you're hoping to accomplish here.
Sure. I think really we're trying to connect with our existing customers as well as any of the new players that are out there. Of course, we've got spinouts coming out of NBCU. We've got a breakup occurring within Warner. We've got new ownership of Paramount. So really getting a chance to meet new people in our space and what feels like new companies in our space as well.
Great. Now, talk a little bit about some of the issues that are facing your customers as we go through this very complicated time in the media business, particularly here in, particularly in, I think, United States, but certainly over here as well. Talk a little bit about some of those challenges your people are facing.
Yeah, most of our customers are asking us to help them with two things. Help me automate more of my operations, especially around scheduling or programming or curating content even ahead of those channel builds, whether it's for FAST or linear or VOD. And then they're asking us to help them with user engagement on their services themselves. So how do I keep customers around and watching my content and not ghosting our service and not churning off?
Right. The churn's the killer. Obviously, media engagement or engagement in general is really important. So what is it that Mediagenics can do for a customer to drive engagement to keep them around? What are the things you all bring to the table?
So we built what we call a content personalization engine. It starts with a very human input of the semantic content itself. So what is the mood? What's the emotion? What's inside this content that's going to help people connect with that? And that's tagged by human beings. So we don't use AI to build that. But then we train an AI model around those semantic tags so that as we have user profile behavior coming in off the service, we can match what they're already watching and what they're telling us they're interested in with the semantic content and the moods and the emotional intent of that content that's on your cabinet.
So movie A is a happy science fiction thriller.
Yeah.
That does not exist, but there might be one or two. You can know that, and you're able to say, okay, they like this. Here's some things they might also like based on that.
Absolutely. If you're after positive science fiction, I'm happy to recommend. Here's the 8 episodes of Star Trek that happen to match that exact emotional profile.
Okay. And then out of that, I think one of the things that gets interesting is every company wants to do this for themselves. Every customer wants to do it regardless of company.
Yeah.
So is there any way to bridge that seemingly unbridgeable gap?
I would say a lot of our customers have tried doing it for themselves, and some have been successful, some not. Where we've done A/B testing with our customers, and a great example is what we've done with Globo. They spent months doing an A/B test of their own content recommendation and search capacity versus ours, and saw a much better user engagement and playthrough. So not just what the user was staying, but they were staying and watching the content longer with our engine. So they migrate.
They migrate. That's interesting. In terms of, we're here at IBC, the International Broadcasting Conference here in Amsterdam. I would be remiss if I didn't talk with you about what you're seeing in broadcasting and particularly what you're seeing in international. I mean, you talked about Globo, the big Brazilian company. Talk a little bit about what's happening in South America, but talk, if you will, what's happening in Europe, particularly with broadcasting.
Sure. I mean, the broadcast market in Europe is a much healthier ecosystem than we have in the Americas. And in the Americas, we've had a massive amount of consolidation, especially in local broadcasts. So now we've got all these stations that handle just very few, very large players. Whereas in Europe, because of language disparities and the regional differences, there's a very healthy, very broad broadcasting system that continues to get investment on a regular basis. And so now we're looking at not just how we build the broadcast decisions, but how we support those with streaming services inside those broadcasters. Whereas in America, a lot of our customers, because of that consolidation, have been looking more towards FAST as an area where they can deliver content directly to a connected TV ecosystem in a broader sense. And of course, that's because we can support FAST with a higher level of CPMs in the Americas market than we can out of Europe. Again, very different geographies, right? Geographies and demographics. The CPMs are lower because of language differences.
So because broadcast is stronger in Europe, probably stronger in many developing markets as well, I'm going to guess, for some of the same reasons. The CPMs just don't support some of the online fast stuff. Where do you see broadcast going beyond Europe, but worldwide.
Yeah, we see the continued expansion of direct-to-consumer streaming in any form that takes, whether that's a subscription-supported model, an ad-supported model, whether that's fast delivered to connected TV and aggregated through an APG. We see those models continuing to be experimented with and grow throughout all of our customers worldwide.
At this point, how is consolidation in the markets affecting you, even within your own industry? Are you all looking at buying others, rolling up, any of that stuff?
I would say any company of Mediagenics size is going to be in the market looking for available opportunities. I'd be remiss to say, that we're not shopping. So, but, obviously as a public company, we can't make comments on.
Sure. But there's lots going on.
There is a lot.
And you're hearing it, and you're seeing a lot of your customers probably.
They're buying things, they're consolidating, and of course, they're splitting out, right?
Yeah.
You've got Versant coming out of NBCU. You've got Warner that's going to split itself in a very similar transaction to Discovery Global and Warner again.
Those may create new opportunities.
That's a wholly different opportunity, right? How do you build almost an entirely new network from scratch without having to worry about building the brand identity, right? Versant comes out with a unique brand identity already there. It contemplates this. So.
It's a whole new world in some ways. Well, really fascinating stuff. I'm here, David Bloom, with Next TMT, talking with Eric Carson, Managing Director / CEO of the Americas for Mediagenics. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you, Dan.